Hi, welcome to Life Learn, Improving Fluent English is the acronym for Life. So, this is a session on basic grammar. So, there are many people who do not have any issues in forming sentences, but they have occasional errors. That's one category. There is another category which is close to beginners category. They have a lot of issues forming basic sentences. So I'm not comparing whether you are a beginner or you are at an advanced stage. The motto of this session is to just revise the fundamentals, the basics. I always promote that a language can be learned without grammar. This particular session is just a helping tool to be little faster in grasping the fluency. Okay. So without wasting time, let me share my screen and let's proceed. All right. So I'll be just doing it one way. If you have any questions, you can get in touch with me. So let me finish off the concept first. So let's begin. So what are we going to cover? Let me hide my hiding floor. Yeah, floating control. Yeah. Okay. So what are we going to cover? Today we're going to cover what is a sentence, what is a predicate, what is a verb, what is an object, types of structures. So these are 5 things which we'll be covering. I'm again just reminding you, our focus is not to master grammar. We are just using grammar to understand how we can form or use correct English. So don't give more attention to grammar terminologies. Okay. So what is a sentence? A sentence is a group of words that expresses a complete thought. Now, whatever you have in your mind, suppose you're in a bus stand and you are on a call with your friend and you want to express what you have seen. So you get a thought and you need to express that to that someone could be a family member or a friend. For you to express, you need a sentence. Okay. So when you express a complete thought by using certain words, it is a sentence. It communicates an action or a state. Okay, there will be an example coming up on this slide, but let's remember one thing. When we use a particular sentence, whether it is English, Telugu, Hindi, any language, we use sentences. We use statements. Now, a sentence or a statement both mean same. The only difference is we use statements to converse. We use sentences to write. That's the only difference. Otherwise, sentence is a statement. To express a complete thought, we use a sentence. It communicates either an action or a state. A sentence fragment is a group of words that doesn't express a complete thought. It is just it expresses what you want to communicate, but it is not a complete thought. Let's see some examples here now. Now, suppose you are talking to your friend and there is some lady in front of you. She just came, spoke to you, and went away. And your friend asks you, who is she? So you have 2 ways to answer this particular question to your friend. One, by using a sentence. Two, by using a fragment, sentence fragment. Okay, you can just say a doctor. The friend asked you, who is she? And you replied, a doctor. So that is a sentence fragment. But if you were to tell this in a complete sentence by using a statement, then what should be the answer? She is a doctor. Okay, so she is a doctor is a complete sentence. It's a sentence or a statement. A doctor is a fragment sentence or a sentence fragment. Same way, where did she walk? The answer can be she walked to the store, or she walked to the washroom, she walked to the kitchen, whatever it could be. Okay. Sentence fragment is to the store. Okay. So this is what is a sentence and a sentence fragment. Now, usage. When do we use a sentence? When do we use a sentence fragment? You already got to know. Just a quick recap. A sentence is used in written business communication. Please understand, business communication is always written. Just imagine when you got your after the interview. In fact, before the interview, you had to carry your resume. It was a written format of who you are. After you got a job, okay, there was a confirmation letter given to you, an appointment letter given to you, an offer letter given to you. Okay, so business communication is always written. Tomorrow you want a leave, you need to talk to you go walk up to your manager or your boss, whosoever you report to, and you ask for a leave. Your leave is granted, but still it has to be documented. So what will you get to know from that person? Please send me an email, right? So sentences are used in written English, especially in business communication. Things are written. A fragment sentence is used in a conversation, but it is not clear in writing. So we never use sentence fragment in writing, but we use sentences. So now you can understand you might not have any issues or challenges while conversing. Why? Most of us in our day-to-day conversation, we use sentence fragments. We don't use, that's why I always tell in my coaching that the way we write and the way we speak are two different things. So when we improve our writing skills, automatically our speaking skills also improve. So this is a session which is going to help you in the fundamentals of being correct in forming sentences. Let's proceed from here. So let's understand what a subject is in a sentence. By the way, a sentence has two parts. What are they? Subject plus predicate. Subject plus predicate. Subject plus predicate is equal to a clause. So you can say grammatically, a sentence means a clause. Okay. Again, don't focus more on grammar terminologies, just focus on the examples. Okay, they are just references for us to understand. That's it, nothing more than that. So we will understand what a subject is. We have the examples. Radha is a doctor. The three girls from my colony like to play with dogs. Right now, Arya is training us on English grammar. Here is the old temple. The pig loves you. Okay, so there are some examples I gave you as some expressions in form of sentences. Now, what is a subject in a sentence? A subject in a sentence is someone or something. It answers the question who, what, whom. Okay, it starts a sentence. When you form a sentence, subject is always the first part of the sentence. It is one word or more than one word. Can be just one word as a subject, or it can be more than one word as a subject. Exception. With here or there, subject is always the last part. We don't use subject in the beginning. We use here in the beginning or there in the beginning, and the subject ends the sentence. Okay. Let's look at the example. Radha is a doctor. About who the sentence is, it is about Radha. That's why Radha is the subject. Okay. If you remember, this is a classic example I give in my every session. If you remember writing a letter in your school, if you want a leave, you had to write to the principal or to the class teacher, then subject, leave for sick leave. So what is the subject in the letter telling us? What is the entire letter all about? Same way, a subject in a sentence tells us what is the entire subject all about. So here when we say Radha is a doctor, the entire sentence is about Radha. We are trying to communicate something about Radha. We are trying to express something about Radha. Okay. Now what it is expressing? It is not expressing an action. Remember in the previous slide, I told you that a sentence communicates an action or a state. Now, when I'm saying Radha is a doctor, we're not talking about what Radha is doing. We're not talking about what Radha is doing. We're saying what Radha is. She's a doctor. She's not a thief. She's not a police inspector. She's not a chief minister. She's not a minister. She's a doctor. So it is a state of being. It's just telling us who she is. There is no action getting performed by Radha. At the same time, we can say Radha is operating right now in the operation theater. Now, this is performing an action. Anyways, let's focus on subject. The second sentence, three girls from my colony like to play with dogs. So about whom the subject, the sentence is, it is about three girls from my colony. So three girls from my colony is a subject in the second sentence. Same way, right now Arya is training us on English grammar. Who is training? Arya is training. So Arya is the subject. Here is the old temple. What is this sentence all about? It's a sentence about an old temple. So the old temple is the subject. Pig loves you. Who loves you? Pigs love you, right? So the pig is the subject. The pig loves you. So I hope you got the clarity that what a subject is. Okay, now let's move on to the next part, that is predicate. The two parts, subject plus predicate, is a complete sentence. It's a clause. The same sentences we will take. So a predicate is also someone or something, but the difference is it ends the sentence. It doesn't start the sentence, it ends the sentence. It can also be one word or more than one word. Okay. Exception same here and there. Then the subject is the uh, last part. Sorry, there should be a small correction I have to do. Let me do it right away in front of you. Then the first part is not subject. Then the first part is predicate. Let me correct it. Okay, that was my phone also which disturbed me. It's okay. Matter of few seconds. All right. So the exception is when we start a sentence with here and there, then the predicate is the first part, which means here and there becomes. Let me explain you in form of the examples here now. So we already know that Radha is a subject. Then what is the predicate? There are only two parts of a sentence, isn't it? Right? So whatever is in green, now you see, is the object. So Radha is subject, is intelligent is predicate. Both together joined is a sentence. A sentence is a clause. Same way. Three girls from my colony like to play with dogs. So like to play with dogs is the predicate. Same way. Right now, Arya is training us on English. So Arya is subject, is training us on English grammar is the predicate. Same way. Here is predicate. The old temple is subject. Yeah. The pig is subject, loves you is predicate. So very simple. A sentence comprises of two parts, subject plus predicate. Let's go a little more in detail. Let's try to understand more elaborative now. That was very basic. Okay. If you just separate the subject from the sentence, whatever is remaining is predicate. Okay. Now let's understand the parts of predicate. A predicate is equal to verb plus object, which means to form a predicate, we require two components. The first one is the verb. The second one is the object. So there are two things required. So on the whole, to form a sentence, we require three components: subject, verb, object. Okay. Now Radha is a doctor. Three girls from my colony like to play with the dogs. Right now, Arya is training us on English grammar. Here's the old temples. The pig loves you. Let's take the same sentences. I don't want you to, so it becomes easy for you to go more detail of the same examples if I use. Radha is a subject. We already know. So what is a verb here now? Is a verb. See, the first part of the predicate is verb. So is a verb. A doctor is object. Same way. Three girls from my colony is a subject. What is the verb? Like is a verb. To play with dogs is the object of the predicate. Same way. Arya is the subject, or you can say right now Arya is the subject. Is the verb. Training us on English grammar is the object. Same way. Here is the verb. The old temple is the subject because sentence is all about the old temple. What is the object then? Here is the object. Same way. The next sentence, the pig is the subject. And what is the verb? Loves is the verb. You is the object. Right? So a predicate comprises of two parts, verb plus object, which means the first part of the predicate is always a verb. Okay, now what is a verb then? A verb can be singular or plural, first of all. We need to keep this in mind. Even subject can be singular or plural. So what is singular? When we talk about one, it is singular. When we talk about more than one, it is plural. Okay, so when subject is singular, the verb should also be singular, and the subject is plural, the verb should also be plural. This is the basic sentence formation tool, which we can do in detail. I don't want to do it now. Let's focus on what a verb is now. After the subject, the next immediate word is a verb. Please pay attention. After the subject, the next immediate word, we're talking about sentence formation. First, we need to place the subject. After the subject, the next immediate word is a verb. And verb is the first part of predicate. Subject plus predicate is equal to sentence, a clause. So that's the sentence formation. And it is always one word. Verb cannot be more than one word. A subject can be more than one word, a predicate can be more than one word. Verb is never more than one word. It is always one word. So verb can be present or past or modal. When I say present, it means V1, VS, past V2. It sounds very technical, I understand, but as I go with the slides, you will understand what I mean to say. Okay. Now let's understand verb as per grammar can be a helping verb or it can be an action verb or it can be a modal verb. So there are three possibilities. When you form any sentences, there are three types of verbs which you can use to form a particular sentence. First is helping verb. Second is action verb. Third is modal verb. Let's go in detail what are helping verbs, what are modal verbs. I'll give you the chart now so that you can understand. Now look at the chart. When you look at the chart, the first row, the types of verbs, helping verbs to be, helping verbs to be singular, helping verbs to be plural, helping verbs to do, helping verbs to have, action verbs regular, action verbs irregular, action verbs irregular. So these all are the verbs which we use to form sentences. If you remember, I said present verb or past verb. Like, let me highlight this. Let me pull a highlighter so it becomes easy. I said in a sentence we use either present form of the verb or past form of the verb. Remember V1, VS or V2. We don't use V3 or V4 in place of a verb to form a sentence. We use only present or past verb. Am is was, are were, do does did, have has had, walk walks walked, go goes went, cut cuts cut. Only these are the verbs which can be used. Now, when we talk about action verbs, there are many. Eat, sleep, jump, go. Okay, let's take some examples. Here, sleep, sleeps, slept. Eat, eats, ate. Right? So I hope it's a quick recall of what verbs were taught to us in our English grammar. We were told that verbs are actions. They are not just actions, they are more than actions. They are also state of being. Okay. Same way, what are the modal verbs? Modal verbs are will, would, shall, should, can, could, may, might, must, ought to. All these are the words which are called verbs. Okay. Even if we don't know what verbs are, we should know what these words are and how these words are supposed to be used. When to use am, is, was, are, were, do, does, did. All these are the words which we use extensively. We also use will, would, shall, should, can, could, may, might. Okay. We may not know that they are verbs. It's okay. Don't want to remember them as a verbs. It's okay. But we should know how these words are used. They are always used immediately after the subject. These are the words which are always used immediately after the subject. Okay. So what is an object then? In a sentence, whatever is remaining after a verb is an object. It can be any parts of it. It is same like subject. I will make it very simplified. It is same like subject. It can be one word or it can be more than one word. But verb is always one. So as we know, predicate has got two components, verb plus object. Let's look at some examples now. Radha is a doctor. Same example. Radha is subject. Is a verb. A doctor is object. Three girls from my colony like to play with the dogs. Three girls from my colony subject. Verb is like. To play with dogs is the object. The pig might kiss you. The pig is the subject. Who will kiss you? What is going to kiss you? Who's going to kiss you? The pig, subject. Might is the verb. Kiss you is the object. So now on the slide, you can see the star mark represents verb. The underline represents object. So what kind of a verb is it? As per the table I have just shown you, here is a helping verb. This is not talking about an action. It is talking about the state of being. 3 girls from my colony like to play. So like is the verb. So like is what now? It is an action. So the first example is helping verb. The second example, the girls like to play with dogs, is an action. Third sentence, the pig might kiss you. Might here is a modal verb. Kiss you is the object. So in the upcoming sessions, if required on demand, I'll make you understand when to use will, would, can, could, shall, should, may, might. Otherwise, you know how to use is, was, and all that stuff. So this is something which is very basic. I thought there are people who are struggling in the community. So I thought, let me make them understand the fundamentals of forming sentences. Now, let's move on to the last part of this session. What are the different structures, sentence structures, which we use to communicate? Okay, let's move on. So far, just a simple sentence is what we understood. What is a simple sentence? One subject plus predicate. One subject plus one predicate is equal to simple sentence or a clause. But we also use double sentences to express. When we use a double sentence, when we use two sentences to express, two statements to express, we call them as a compound sentence. Let's look at an example here, which means a clause plus conjunction plus a clause. A clause means what? A sentence. Simple as. So Radha is a doctor and Ram is a dancer. So in this one sentence, in this one statement, we are expressing about two things. That means we are talking about two people. That is Radha and Ram. So two subjects is two verbs, a doctor, a dancer, two objects, right? So when we join two sentences together with a conjunction or with a word or a punctuation, it becomes a compound sentence. Let's look at some more examples. John enjoys playing basket. This is one expression. He also loves swimming. Second expression. We're talking about two complete thoughts. Ram enjoys playing basket. He also loves swimming. Possible, one person can have two choices, two hobbies, two interests. So when we are communicating two things in one sentence, like this, we form a compound sentence. Same way, she wanted to go to the party, but she had to finish her homework. So this is also one of the sentences. He didn't like the movie, yet he stayed until the end. Two things. He didn't like the movie is one thing. He stayed until the end is a second thing. The two things joined in one sentence. They went to the beach and they had a great time swimming. Okay, so what happened? They went to the beach. What else happened? They had a great time swimming. So this is how we communicate two things in one sentence. This is how you are supposed to communicate in your email or in your business writing when you want to communicate two things in one sentence. And a sentence always ends with a full stop. Little gyan on punctuation. Okay. So I'm just, all these underlines are the first clause. The second clause is just kept empty. So after the first clause, we have a conjunction and in the first sentence, second sentence again and. In the third sentence, but is used as a conjunction. In the third sentence, fourth sentence, yet is used as a conjunction. And then the fourth sentence, and. So there are many conjunctions. If you're interested how to use different types of conjunctions on demand, we can, take a session on that also. Otherwise, I always believe that a language can be learned very naturally. Okay, that's what we do in our regular sessions. This is just for someone who's struggling to form basic sentences, just for them. Okay. So what is a complex sentence? This is the last type of structure. The first structure is simple sentence. Second structure, I told you, compound sentence. The last structure is a complex sentence. You have one idea. Look at the picture. It's showing a bulb. You have one idea, but it has got different components of that particular idea, which means there are different sentences which you are using, which means you don't use two clauses or two sentences. You use more than two sentences or two clauses. Here is the example. Radha is a doctor, clause one, and a dancer. It's clause one or sentence one. She loves to visit US once every year to celebrate her birthday. It's the second expression, the second sentence or second clause. But her husband doesn't like the idea. Third sentence. Do you see? There are three clauses we have used. We can use more than three also. It becomes more complex. So so take home from this particular session is that when we want to express in our day-to-day conversation, we don't just use simple sentences. We use compound sentences also. We use complex sentences also. In fact, we use more complex sentences. So when we form complex sentences, punctuations and conjunctions and relative pronoun and all these things are very important. I hope you got the basics of forming sentences, and I'm 100% sure that this is an eye opener for you, or it is at least got to know, made you understand the basics and the fundamentals of forming sentences. So thank you for being part of this particular session. Once again, I insist, do not focus on grammar terminologies, focus on the examples and how the sentence is formed. Okay. So grammar is just a reference as a helping tool. That's take them as just a helping tool. Don't try to, memorize those terminologies and you're not going to write a test or an examination. Okay, chill. Okay. All right. So at last, if you want to learn more, connect with me for a one-on-one call. Okay. I would like to hear to you and see what are your specific challenges so that I can guide you. Treat me as a doctor and you're a patient. So let me listen to your problems so that I can prescribe you the medicine. You cannot have one patient, for one medicine cannot be used for all the diseases or all the ailments. So I treat every individual is different. Every individual has different levels. So get uh get connected with me on a one-on-one call. I will be happy to help you. If you are not part of my VIP community on the Facebook, you will find the link in the description. Please join that and get connected with me. Thank you. That's it for now. All the best. All right. That's it. I'll end.